What happens when a simple accident uncovers a secret worth millions, maybe even more? Yeah, I'm fine. A billionaire heiress crashes into an old, forgotten truck on a rainy night, but the man inside isn't who he seems. Hidden in his possession is something her powerful father left behind, something no one was supposed to find. Was it just coincidence or fate bringing them together? This story will take you through mystery, power, and a truth buried for years before we begin. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an amazing story like this. And now let's get started. Rain poured steadily over downtown Dallas, turning the late evening streets into reflective ribbons of light. Traffic had thinned, but the slick roads made every turn dangerous. Vanessa Hale gripped the steering wheel of her sleek black luxury sedan, frustration written across her face. The day had been exhausting, meetings, legal tensions, and the constant pressure of carrying her late father's billion legacy. She wasn't used to losing control of anything. As she approached a quiet intersection, her phone buzzed again on the passenger seat. Without thinking, her eyes flicked toward it for just a second. That second was enough. The car's tires hit a slick patch. The steering wheel jerked in her hands. She tried to correct it. But the vehicle slid sideways across the wet road. A sharp screech cut through the night. Crash. The impact wasn't devastating, but it was enough to jolt her forward against the seatbelt. Her car came to a stop at an angle. Its front corner pressed into the side of an old, rusted pickup truck parked along the curve. For a moment, everything was silent except for the rain. Vanessa exhaled sharply, her heart racing unbelievable. She muttered under her breath, already annoyed. She grabbed her coat and stepped out into the rain, her heels splashing against the wet pavement. The pickup truck looked like it had seen decades of use, faded paint, worn tires, and small dents scattered across its body. To Vanessa, it was the kind of vehicle that didn't belong anywhere near her world. Before she could say anything, the driver's door of the truck slowly opened. A man stepped out. He wasn't what she expected. He looked calm, early 40s. Simple clothes, a worn jacket, hands slightly rough from years of labor. His expression wasn't angry. It was focused. "Steady, are you okay?" he asked, his voice firm but quiet. Vanessa blinked. "Slightly thrown off, am I okay?" "You were parked in the middle of..." She stopped herself. Realizing how it sounded still, her irritation remained. "Look, this is clearly an accident. I'll cover the damage." The man glanced at his truck briefly, then back at her. "The truck can wait. I asked if you're okay." Something about his tone made her pause. No panic, no greed, just concern. "I'm fine," she replied quickly. "And I don't have time for this. Just tell me how much." He shook his head slightly. "That's not necessary now." She was confused and slightly offended. "Not necessary? Do you even realize who..." She stopped again. The man wasn't impressed, wasn't curious, didn't even ask her name. It was as if her status meant nothing here. Rain dripped from her hair as she crossed her arms. "You're refusing compensation." For this, she gestured toward the damaged truck. "It's just metal," he said calmly. "Things can be fixed." Vanessa stared at him, trying to understand. Most people would have argued, demanded money, or at least shown frustration. But this man, he was different. Her eyes drifted briefly to the inside of the truck. Something caught her attention on the passenger seat. Partially hidden under a cloth was an old leather folder, worn but carefully kept. For a split second, something about it felt familiar. But before she could focus on it, the man stepped forward slightly. "Closing the truck door, you should get your car checked," he said. "The alignment might be off after that hit." Vanessa frowned. He was giving her advice now, right? She said slowly, still studying him. "And you are Daniel," he replied simply. No last name, no introduction. "Just Daniel." Vanessa nodded faintly, though her mind was racing. Something about this situation didn't feel ordinary anymore. What started as a simple accident now felt like the beginning of something she didn't yet understand. And as she walked back to her car, she couldn't shake the strange feeling that this man and that old truck were somehow connected to a past she thought had already been buried. The next morning, Vanessa Hale sat in her glass-walled office overlooking downtown Dallas, but her attention wasn't on the skyline or the endless notifications lighting up her tablet. Her mind kept drifting back to the accident, to the rain, the quiet man, and most of all, that old leather folder she had glimpsed inside his truck. It didn't make sense. She had seen countless documents in her father's company over the years, but something about that folder felt unmistakably familiar. The worn edges, the deep brown leather, even the way it had been carefully placed. It reminded her of something her father used to carry everywhere in his final months. Vanessa leaned back in her chair, trying to shake the thought. "It's just a coincidence," she muttered to herself. But the feeling didn't go away. Within minutes, she pressed a button on her desk. "Get me everything." "You can on a man named Daniel," she instructed her assistant. "Mid-40s, lives in Dallas. I want background, employment, everything." Her assistant hesitated slightly. Last name Vanessa paused. She didn't have one, just start with that, she said firmly. "And pull traffic reports from last night's accident. There should be a record." As the call ended, Vanessa stood and walked toward the window. Her father, Richard Hale, had been a man of precision, secrecy, and control. After his sudden death a year ago, the company had transitioned fully into her hands, but not without unanswered questions. There were gaps in his records, missing files, conversations, that ended abruptly, and now somehow, a stranger with an old truck had triggered that same uneasy feeling again. By early afternoon, her assistant returned with partial information. "There are multiple Daniels in the area," she explained, placing a tablet on the desk. "But one match stands out: Daniel Reed. Former mechanical engineer, no major corporate ties. Currently working independent contracts, mostly low-profile work." Vanessa's eyes narrowed. "Engineering? Yes," the assistant continued. "There's something else. He was briefly listed as a consultant under Hale Industries. About a year before your father passed." Vanessa froze. What she said quietly. "It was a short-term contract," the assistant added. "No detailed records of what he worked on. But the timeline overlaps with your father's final private projects." The room felt colder. "Set up a meeting," Vanessa said immediately. "I've tried," the assistant replied carefully. "There's no official office, no business listing. Just a residential address." Vanessa didn't hesitate. "Then I'll go there myself." Later that day, Vanessa's car pulled into a quiet, modest neighborhood on the outskirts of the city. It was nothing like the high-rise towers or corporate buildings. She was used to small houses lined the street, and children's bicycles rested near driveways. Her eyes scanned until she saw it, the same old pickup truck. Parked outside a simple home, Vanessa stepped out her heels, clicking softly against the pavement. This time there was no rain, just silence and anticipation. She approached the front door and knocked. A moment passed. Then the door opened. Daniel stood there, just as calm as the night before. No surprise, no confusion, just that same steady expression. "You came," he said. Vanessa studied him closely. "We need to talk." His eyes held hers for a moment before he stepped aside. "I figured we would," as she entered the house. Her gaze immediately shifted and then stopped. On a wooden table across the room lay the same leather folder, now fully visible and unmistakably real. Vanessa's breath caught slightly that folder. She said slowly. Daniel closed the door behind her. "It's why you're here, isn't it?" She didn't answer right away because deep down she already knew. This wasn't just about an accident anymore. This was about her father and the truth he left behind.